Welcome to Talk of the Town. I'm your host, Jessa Jeremiah, and we have a wonderful show for you today. First, we are going to check in with our news partner, Mark, Madison Area Rehabilitation Centers, and see what's going on in their world. Joining us first, we have Gary and we have Michael, who join us from Mark, and thanks so much for coming on our show. Once again, we're so glad to have you.
Well, thanks for encouraging us to be here. Being a news partner with Channel 57 is a great opportunity for us to work with the community and educating them about people with disabilities and their needs, and then how the community can help support the work that we do with people with developmental disabilities in this community.
Absolutely. Well, we love having you, so we appreciate that, Michael. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we not only appreciate what you guys do, but you always come on and bring some wonderful news and information for our viewers at home. So it's just a pleasure. And today I want to talk to you about actually the foundation that Mark has. So there's a nonprofit organization called Mark Foundation of Dane County, and just sort of give us the rundown, the basics of what the foundation does.
Sure. The Mark Foundation of Dane County is the fundraising arm to Madison Area Rehab Centers Incorporated. It's a separate, distinct nonprofit agency with a separate board of directors from the incorporated side. We established that foundation many years ago for several purposes. It gave the community an opportunity to donate lots of different items, or cash, or stock, or real estate, lots of different venues for contributions to Madison Area Rehab Centers. And it allows for a distinction between the fundraising arm and the operations arm, so that more long-term planning and strategic planning can be done at the foundation level. And it helps to fill the gaps of public funding, which has been lowered over the years dramatically. So without the generous help of the community, we would have a much more greater challenge in being able to meet the needs of the clients that we serve.
Absolutely. What an important branch of Mark to be able to help with, I'm sure, the expensive, some of the funding that takes to run the many centers and services that you guys offer. So what a wonderful thing to get to talk to about. And let's talk a little bit about who really sits on, I know there's a board of directors, so talk to us about who sits on the board for the foundation and how that sort of works.
Members of the board consist of people who have children or relatives involved in the program. It consists of businessmen and business leaders, business women in the community, and people who have supported Mark. It is, however, an independent board from the Mark board.
Okay.
Approved by the Mark board, but it is independent.
Okay, very interesting. And what about the actual, the fundraising, and that we raise this money and we're trying to gain awareness for Mark's services. So sort of how does that work? How does a foundation raise that money?
It has a variety of fundraising projects. Its largest fundraising project is what's called the Fall Fund Drive, which is simply a solicitation of individuals, businesses, and organizations that have supported Mark throughout the years. In addition to that, we have the annual Mark Golf Classic, which next year will be June 6th. Which provides money for Mark. There are grant writing opportunities. We have a fall banquet, spring banquet, which is a recognition banquet, recognizing businesses and individuals that have supported Mark, and the money from that goes into the fundraising efforts.
Okay, so lots of great events really help support, and you have been our news partner since the golf tournament. I know you had some great success there, so we look forward to hearing about some of the other events that come up. I'm sure you'll keep us posted. Let's talk a little bit about the donors. So I'm sure that there's donations that can be contributed to the foundation. So talk to us about some of the ways that maybe donors can help.
Sure. There's a myriad of ways in which donors could help Madison Area Rehab Centers and its clients and the staff achieve its goals. Of course, giving money is always welcome, and money can be given in both a restricted purpose or an unrestricted manner. But we accept gifts of stock, we accept gifts of real estate, of estate planning, and people would like to leave something in their will to make our community that much better and help people with developmental disabilities achieve their goals. We are a member of the United Way campaign, so year-round giving can be done, or the time when United Way runs its fall campaigns. And equally important to donations is that people from the community can serve on MARC boards and MARC committees in a volunteer manner and participate with their expertise in that regard. And then I guess finally, we're always looking for donated items for our centers, specifically needed items. And we issue those lists on a regular basis. And when people would like to give, but they'd like to know what we need, they can call the office and we can give them a list of things that they could purchase.
Okay, so lots of ways that they can help, and you guys have a lot of events coming up. Well, maybe we'll put a couple on the screen for you too. And it goes so fast, doesn't it? We're out of time. Can you believe it, guys? Well, you know we'll have you back. Thank you so much for joining us. And you stick around. We'll be right back with more Talk of the Town after the break. Hey, welcome back to Talk of the Town. We are joined now by our sports news partner who joins us from the Wisconsin Sports Network. We have Travis Wilson here, who is the general manager and also football writer, and we are going to talk some high school football. Welcome, Travis.
Thank you.
So let's start with a topic that has been heavily talked about here. Now, the recent months we've talked about competitive equity and the public-private debate. So for folks who maybe aren't familiar with what's going on with this, give us a little background here.
Sure. Really it's a topic we could devote 2 hours to, and we obviously won't today. But basically what it boils down to is when private schools joined the public schools in the WIA back in 2000, since that time there's kind of been a lot of rumblings of people that think that the private schools have an inherent unfair advantage that, especially in the lower divisions, and it kind of came to a head this spring where a group of small schools in southwest Wisconsin advanced a petition that placed on the annual meeting agenda an initiative that would have applied a 1.65 multiplier to the enrollment of all private schools, basically bumping most of them up a division in most sports. To their credit, they voted instead of yes or no on that issue to send it to a committee for further study. And it has continued to be a topic of discussion over the summer and into the fall as well.
Wow, okay. And you mentioned that the competitive equity issue was talked about at the WIAA meetings this week. So was there anything new that we can take away from that meeting?
Yeah, well, there were several members of the committee there that gave presentations on where they're at in that process of finding a solution to the issue of competitive equity. They've kind of narrowed down their scope to 3 primary plans, if you will, and they gave presentations on those and just kind of provided more information on those. And the next step now is in October that committee will meet again, and maybe we'll find out at that time what their final presentation or final solution or plan will be, and we'll get a vote on it in April potentially.
Okay, wow. Well, we could talk to you about this for a couple hours. In the effort to get to some football stats and information, let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about Reedsburg. So Reedsburg is off to a great start, and they had a wonderful week 3. So what have we sort of learned about Reedsburg so far? What do you see? Your opinion?
Well, obviously they had a great game on the I-90 Bowl on CW 57 last week, a 49-27 win over DeForest. So far this year, we knew that their offense was going to be explosive. They had a number of outstanding returners there, but their defense has really been impressive as well. I think has been maybe a little bit of a surprise so far. Their front 7 especially is very strong and looking like a very strong contender in the Badger North that, as we talked about last week, is a very deep and talented conference for sure.
Absolutely. And speaking of the Badger Conference, there's a great matchup this week too, so let's talk about that.
Yeah, well, the Reedsburg-Monona Grove matchup is a non-conference crossover, but in the Badger North, we have Waunakee versus Mount Horeb-Barneveld. And Waunakee, they were down a little bit last year, but they look very good so far this season. Both Waunakee and Mount Horeb-Barneveld are undefeated. Mount Horeb got a win in week 1 over Monona Grove. That's going to be a great matchup. We're going to find out if Waunakee really is back to where they had been, and also if Mount Horeb-Barneveld is ready to compete for a conference title as well.
Okay, and let's move on. Let's talk about the Big 8 for a second. So we've got Middleton and we've got Madison Lafayette that are unbeaten teams. So let's speak about this showdown a little bit. Your thoughts there?
Yeah, this is maybe a little bit of a surprise that both teams are undefeated at this point, but two outstanding teams. Madison La Follette already has a win over Sun Prairie back in week 1, so if they are able to pick up a win over Middleton, they really are in the driver's seat the rest of the way towards a conference title. Middleton has a chance to get a big win, and this really should be a great matchup, a great showdown between teams right here in the Madison area.
Okay, very interesting. Now, on Wisconsin Sports, on your website, you actually have like an interactive tool that people can vote for who they deem the best players, some up-and-coming players. Do you get some good response from that? How into the high school football are people right now?
Yeah, it's really been one of the best features that has come out of our site. It's really neat to see the Team of the Week poll that we do, and also the Air National Guard Player of the Week poll. We nominate 5 teams and 5 players each week, and fans can go on and vote for who they think should be the winner. It's really cool to see the response that you get from the communities. Emails go around the school, they go around the community and all the businesses. Hey, go here and vote. You see kids posting about it on Facebook and Twitter all the time. Come here and vote for us. It's really been a neat feature, really got great involvement. Last week, for instance, in the Team of the Week poll, we had over 8,500 votes cast in that poll alone. So it's really been a great feature, great way for people to interact with our site as well.
Wonderful. So you can go to wissports.net if you want to participate in that. Travis Wilson from Wisconsin Sports Network, always a pleasure. We're going to have you back next week. We'll talk more high school football, so thank you.
You bet. Sounds good.
All right, stay right there. We're going to be back with more Talk of the Town after this. Welcome back to Talk of the Town. We are going to talk about how a healthy mouth leads to a healthy body. And here to do that, we've got the expert from Excellence in Dentistry, Dr. Amy Sargent. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, we're very pleased to have you, and I'm excited to learn about this topic. So, first of all, let's talk a little bit about some trends in dentistry. What's going on trend-wise in your world?
Well, I think one of the main trends that we're seeing in the news and in dental practices is a focus on how our mouth and the health of our mouth relates to the health of our body and different systemic diseases. So that's one thing that we've really taken on in our practice to focus on for our patients.
And let's talk a little bit about how have you implemented this now into your practice in your office?
Well, we've implemented something called the Healthy Mouth Baseline, and it's a tool that we as healthcare providers can use to go through a patient's mouth with them and look for things that are concerning with the patient, being very involved. So we look at things that may indicate the patient has periodontal disease, like bleeding gums, loose teeth, infection, missing teeth, those kinds of things. We look for those types of things with patients, and then discuss how these things are going to affect their whole body health.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
So periodontal disease, in relationship to the whole body, then what sort of things are maybe associated with somebody who might have that disease?
Well, in the current research, you may have seen a lot of information relating periodontal disease to heart disease, stroke, diabetes, premature and low birth weight infants. So those are probably the front runners for research that correlates periodontal disease to systemic diseases.
Wow, that's so interesting how much the body really is a holistic item, and
Right.
to have something so seemingly unrelated
Right.
cause all these other problems. It's really it makes you take notice.
Yep,
Certainly,
definitely.
So, what can people do to prevent periodontal disease?
Well, this is where I just sound like the typical dental health professional.
Yeah.
So we definitely want you to brush twice a day. I mean, that's just common sense, hopefully. And we don't want you to brush for like 5 seconds in front of the mirror. Take a good few minutes twice a day, because that plaque develops all throughout the day, develops all throughout the night, and that plaque has bacteria in it. You definitely want to brush that away. Common sense. We also do want our patients to floss. Another thing that you hear a lot at the dental office that's super important to prevent periodontal disease. People may not know it, but it's also very important to eat a healthy diet. A lot of the nutrients that you're going to find in food help to create good gum health and maintain good gum health. And last but not least, we want you to visit your health professional every 6 months or more often if they recommend it. One reason is we can really identify problems earlier than you might be able to identify them at home. So we're able to identify a problem and talk to you about how to treat that problem before you may even know it's there.
Wow, very interesting. So some sort of basics that we may have already known, like brushing your teeth regularly, right?
Right.
And then some ones that maybe we didn't know about, like that diet really contributes. Interestingly, as far as brushing your teeth goes, I always hear some sort of tricks and tips and things
Right.
maybe you can help us with, but setting an egg timer is sometimes a
Sure,
good idea.
sure.
I grew up with an egg timer.
Awesome.
But I've also heard like singing certain songs that are like the right amount of length and all these different things.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you need some tips. We'll,
Yes.
we'll come to you with those. But let's talk a little bit about gum health. And you say that focusing on your gum health is very important.
Right.
So how does that then make a healthy body?
So focusing on your gum health is going to prevent infection and inflammation in your mouth. And that in turn is going to prevent infection and inflammation in your body. So a lot of the diseases that are related to oral health basically can be caused by infection and inflammation. So one perfect example of that is diabetes. Anybody with diabetes knows that it's very important to maintain good blood sugar levels for an overall healthy body. And there's a lot of research that shows that bacteria, plaque in the mouth can definitely cause an increase in blood sugar levels.
Wow.
So-
All very interesting things. It's fascinating, like I said to you just a minute ago, how everything is related, and I think it's very important that you take that into account and have brought that into your office and can educate your customers essentially on really how to take care of their whole body through having a healthy mouth. So thank you for that information.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We appreciate it. Dr. Amy Sargent from Excellence in Dentistry. Go check her out. And if you're looking for a great slice of pizza, you gotta stick around. We have an interesting guest after the break. Welcome back to Talk of the Town. Joining us now, we're gonna talk pizza. So we've got Justin and Tyler who join us from Dahlman's Pizza Place. So welcome to the show, first of all.
Thanks a lot for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if you weren't hungry before, this will make you hungry, right? So you've been around for 5 years, so that's a wonderful accomplishment. And let's talk a little bit about you opening Dahlman's Pizza Place. Talk to us a little bit about what some of your goals were, and really who did you intend on being your customers?
Yeah, we opened in an area that we grew up in. We'd been there for our whole lives, and our family had kind of set up a base in the neighborhood that we wanted to develop a business in. So we kind of looked at the area and said we felt there was a need for a family neighborhood hangout, a spot where people could go, run into friends, meet up with neighbors, kind of a place where they could see a smiling face, feel like they were welcomed, and kind of that Cheers feel where somebody was going to know their name and we were going to get to know them and they were going to become regulars and that sort of thing. So that was kind of what we were going for when we first started the business.
Yeah, and that's a really nice thing as a customer to have a place like that you can go and feel comfortable, and it's sort of your regular spot.
Yeah.
So that's great. Now, what about as far as the community goes? How have you been able to connect with or impact the community in these 5 years that you've been in business?
We work a lot with local businesses and a lot with the schools surrounding us. We do a lot of fundraising. We do benefit kickbacks, and we do a ton of sponsorships. We sponsor a lot of youth programs. We have a Little League team that we sponsor as Dahlman's Pizza Place up at West Madison Little League. Adult sports teams, we do volleyball, baseball, basketball, soccer, and just almost everything we're willing to sponsor. And then, Dahlman's Pizza Place has really been a second home to us. It's just a feel-good place to go, and I think a lot of our regulars would agree with that. And Tyler and I have been given the opportunity that a lot of people haven't got, in that we don't know who the next person that walks through the door is, and we get to talk to them and get to know them, and we've met a lot of great individuals through doing that, and we're thankful for that.
Wonderful, and what a great attitude you have
Yep.
about some give back efforts. You've obviously done a lot. There's been a lot of community involvement Do you think that there's something that really stands out as being one of the more impactful things that you've done?
I think probably the biggest impact we've had, our favorite thing that we've been able to do, is we work very closely with the special needs program at Memorial High School. We have a program set up where initially students, once they reach their 18th birthday, will kind of enter into this program. They'll begin coming into the restaurant with their classmates for 1 or 2 lunches a week, where they can kind of get used to coming into a restaurant, getting their food, getting their drinks, sitting,
Paying.
talking with people, that sort of thing. And then the kids, as they kind of advance, they feel like they're getting closer to being ready for a job in the community. We'll have 2 to 4 of those kids from the program at any given time come in Monday through Friday for about 2 to 3 hours, and we work with them, help train them. Some small tasks, some big tasks, based on what their teachers think that they may be able to handle in the future or at the time, and try to get them ready for whether it's a food service job, whether it's a janitorial job, but just try to help give them a base where they can get some on-site job experience. And then as the teachers feel that they're ready to look for a real job, they'll then begin interviewing, go out in the community and look for a real paid position, and then we'll bring in the next batch of students that are going to be trained to try to find a job. So it's
Good for you.
a really cool program where we've been able to see a lot of kids come and go and move on to successful working positions. So
That is very impressive. Well, I'm sure you're very proud of all of those accomplishments and things that you've done. So we appreciate your ability to reach out to the community. And we're running out of time, but I want to talk to you about the business specifically. So what do you feel like really sets Dahlman's apart as a business?
Yeah, sure. I think it's our menu. We have a lot of great appetizers. Breadsticks, cheese bread, wings are very popular, and we make a homemade crust every day. It's not one you can order out. It's one that we make literally every morning, and the sauce is the same, and we load it with local toppings and other homemade ingredients, and it's just, you can't get away without eating a breadstick and a dessert stick on your way out.
yeah, and some cool specials as well. Friday night fish fries. We do a
Really?
spaghetti on the board type of thing.
Oh, cool.
And then we're kind of a chameleon as a restaurant, where we've got the sports bar aspect, but we can also be the sit-down restaurant, and we have a banquet facility where we've hosted anything from baby showers to bar mitzvahs, team dinners, and birthday parties. So we've kind of got a lot of different directions that we can go in based on the customer's need and the neighborhood's need. So that's kind of nice for
you.
us.
Very good. Well, lots to offer your customers with a unique and wide variety of menu items, and some great ways that you get involved in the community. So important stuff. Tyler and Justin of Dahlman's Pizza. Make sure you go see them. And that's
Check it out.
for us. For Talk of the Town, I'm Jessa Jeremiah. Please join us next time.